Well, hello everybody and welcome to Adobe Live. I'm your host, Jesse Showalter, and we are rocking on a Tuesday afternoon. We're going live from the great state of Texas. We're gonna do this thing. I'm just excited. Everybody's in the chat. Vlad's in the chat saying hi. Got Sam and Jack and Ayush and Ashi and just tons of, look, Susanna's in there. Raphael's jumping in. Let me know where you're coming from. And what I wanna see is your favorite food in emoji form. Okay, so find your favorite food in emoji form. Post that in the chat because it's like around lunchtime for me, a little bit after lunch. I just had some food. So I want to see what you guys love. Let me know down in the chat. That's right. Julie says, I didn't even realize Jesse had a live stream this week. That's right, I do. And I'm very, very excited because we have been doing some fun stuff. Yesterday, we started building a community content aggregator or an online content aggregator in hopes of designing a solution for folks who want to connect on the internet and you're tired of Netflix. There's other things out there. There's other things for you to do. Look at all this great food coming in. We have tacos because it's Taco Tuesday. Got some sushi, got a little bento in there, got a slice of pizza. I'm liking all of it. People are saying hi from Estonia. Hope is from Philly. What's up, Philly? All right. Lots of people jumping in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you go over to Behance and log in to your Behance account so you can watch this and engage in the chat. We're not going to be able to engage with you on YouTube. We're doing everything over on Behance. So jump over and find us there. Hope says there's no raspberries. Oh, that's so sad. But you said raspberries, so that's a thing. We got watermelon. We got French fry. Ooh. I could go for some French fries right now. Actually, that's a good thought for later, maybe. We've got people coming in from New Zealand, from Palm Springs. Marco Russell's from Palm Springs. We got Yannick is from Jamaica. What's up? All right. Got lots of people jumping in the chat. Really, really excited. Colombia, Michigan. This is really, really cool. If you haven't ever been a part of an Adobe Live, what we're going to do is you are going to watch me design live for the next 2 hours. So I hope you had your bathroom break. I hope you got your water bottle. I hope you got your kombucha, because I do. Let's do this thing. Let's get started and let's see what we have. But before we do that, really quickly, I'm excited to say hi to everybody. But let's jump over and just take a look at the schedule, because Adobe Live has a long list of amazing content that happens just all day long. So you could be here isolated, but together, you know what I mean? Like together here, chatting with folks and being a part of what Adobe's doing here with Adobe Live. So you just saw Paul Tranny doing some Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. Right now, we're in the top right. That's me, Jesse Showalter, Adobe Live. We're gonna be doing some UI, UX design today using Adobe XD. Right after that, if you're getting used to Adobe XD and really digging it, stick around, because my man Howard Pinsky's coming up next, and he's going to be doing the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, similar to Paul Tranny's Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. He's going to be taking you through a 25-minute challenge. Going to be some fun, a starting file for you to unlock and use. It's going to be really, really fun. So you should definitely stick around for that. We got people coming in still into the chat from the Netherlands, Barcelona, Portugal, Alabama, India, all over the world. Somebody said, what kind of kombucha? You guess. You guess what kind of kombucha I love. What's my favorite flavor of kombucha? You tell me what you think I love. Let me know in the chat. All right. Let's jump over to my desktop and we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. Well, this is Behance I have open right now, and I wanted to just drop that out there. But so if you're not logged into Behance, you should be logged in here. But if you want to learn a little bit more about Adobe XD and get some of the basic tutorials, Howard Pinsky has a great site called letsxd.com, where he has all of these amazing tutorials on designing in XD, on switching over from other platforms, prototyping in XD, getting started really, really quickly. One of my favorites is, where is it? Ooh, I want to find the little snackables. Where's my snackables? Snackables. Those are like little bite-sized pieces of content. Ooh, I like those. Just little quickies to kind of get you excited, you know? So jump inside of LexXD and get some of that expertise going and check out what Howard's done over there. Also, if you're not a part of the Adobe XD Discord server, you should be. Why are you not? Because that's where all the community stuff is happening. We're going to make sure we include that in the app that we're designing today. So somebody said bourbon flavored. I don't think there is bourbon flavored kombucha. No. Mint raspberry kombucha. That's really yummy. That's true. Mine is less exciting than that. Mine is a it's a trilogy flavor, but I like all sorts of kombucha. I also, Jack Watson said donuts. I also enjoy a donut, not necessarily with kombucha, but that being said, if you're not in the Adobe XD Discord server, there's like 35,000 creatives in here. And this is where you can connect with people, get feedback on your work, post your projects, find community and friendship, all here inside of the Adobe XD Discord. It's also today, if you've been participating in Howard's Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, we're going to be going into the current challenge tab and reviewing some of the work there that's done in XD. I see some toilet paper stuff happening. Really excited about that. I can't wait to look at that. So that's what we are going to be doing. All right. So Sam just posted a link to my website. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. That is my website. You can find all the information you need about me. It's not important though. Let's just hang out. You don't got to go there. Stay here. Let's do stuff. Let's hang out together. All right. Why did Jesse have Honolulu time previously up there? Ooh. Oh, you mean in my top right bar? Because originally I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii, and now I am in Texas, in the Austin area. So that's why, because I like to roam. That was a good question though. Hey, as we are designing, I've kicked over onto my desktop, and here is a little bit more of a fleshed out version of what we were designing yesterday. We're designing an application called Stay In. Got a little faux branding up there, and a little launch screen. And then we have a little onboarding, right, where we get like some of the things. This is an aggregator, online content. So we want to see courses and streaming shows and games and chat and all that kind of stuff. And yesterday we even did a little bit of prototyping where we actually created our single column layout. We had some debate yesterday on the layout because you can see there were some other options for layout. Where'd those go? We had some debate of masonry grid, 2-up grid, and I think everybody kind of agreed that we liked the single column grid for the most part. But then we did a little prototyping, a little auto animating action where we just went back and forth between our things. We could also drag. We had a drag trigger, and we even added a voice trigger because that was fun. Because why not do voice triggers when you can? So that was pretty cool. We are going to add some supporting screens today and talk about some Adobe XD workflow. So with that being said, if you have any questions about Adobe XD, about my workflow, about design, development, creativity, life, put those in the chat. Let's just have a chat. Let's hang out. That's what this is all about. Sam Peterson, actually, thank you very much, in the chat. He put the link to the Discord, and that's where I'm going to be hanging out after this stream is over as well. So you can ask me more questions there. Connect with me there. Connect with all the fun Adobe XD team and all of us creatives that are inside the XD server. So going to be super fun. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's the question. Julia said, somebody asked how everyone's doing. And Julia said she's doing good, keeping myself busy, building my skills, trying to stay clear of all the public places, you know, right? So stay inside, wash your hands, time to build some expertise. I'm a firm believer in learning by doing. And right now we're really, really blessed because we have time to do. Okay. So spend that time actually learning and doing. That's my encouragement to everybody. All right. So if you didn't know, I was actually very, very inspired. And I actually got my inspiration for this application from looking around on Adobe stock. I found this artist who's doing all these fun 3D illustrations named Warrot. I think that's how you say that. And I just loved the color and the style. And so I literally just used that as my visual inspiration to do something like this. I just thought it would be really, really fun. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Everybody good? Everybody with it? You got your stuff open? Are you watching? Let's do it. Ask questions away and let's get started. So what do we didn't do? Let's talk about what we did in the background from yesterday, okay? We had these 3 screens and we had these 2 screens kind of prototyped there. But what we also did is I came into my assets panel, bottom left side here of my Adobe XD screen. And if it's hard for you to see, let's just switch over this side so you can see it. There's my little assets panel, and the little hotkey for that is Command or Control Shift Y. You can switch back Command or Control Y and Command or Control Shift Y. So let's try that. We go Command or Control Shift Y. If you have it open already, you'll just open and close that, or you can just jump back and forth between the 2 panels. That's your assets, and that is your layers panel. So in my assets, let's just zoom in so you can see. I actually took 4 of the colors that were in our onboarding, and I just saved those into my assets panel. And then I also saved a bunch of the character styles that I was using, and I saved one component, my little hamburger menu, okay? So what that means is now this is a component if you look in here, or at least it should be. If it's not, then what we actually want to do is we want to drag a component out, okay? So that we can do this. Now I thought let's take a moment, let's do a little component action, okay? Because what we did last time was, let's start over so we can see. What we did here in our prototype is we actually just took the shapes, we just built this little icon, we took the shapes and we animated them back and forth between the two screens. And that's okay, but we also now have, as of a recent update, we have component stage, which are a mind-blowing thing. And so instead of having just this icon over here, why don't we bring our new component that's there and let's create a state for it, and let's create an animating state. So I'm gonna do that. Let's jump back over. Let's get rid of our menu there. So now we have our actual menu component, and you can see up in my upper right hand panel of my inspector, it says this is an instance. See the little I'm having a brain fart right now. See, it just says component instance, not component master, okay? And we can see that now we have different states available to us, okay? So with that being said, let's create an alternate state for this component. We'll do the work we did yesterday again, basically inside of the component, and then we'll be able to use that component over and over throughout our project, which is going to be really, really cool. Julie says, OMG, those are so awesome. And Elaine says, art comes from within, only by doing do you become. I feel like that's a Bruce Lee quote. I'm not sure. It's either Confucius, Bruce Lee, or Elaine Rutledge. It could be any of those. So that was super inspiring, okay? Howard says, my design's looking fire. Thank you, Howard. That means a lot to me. Let's do some component instance stuff, component state stuff. So now that we have our component, we can see we have the default state, and let's come down here, and we're gonna go to our master, okay? So our master is here. And that's okay that it's down there. That's cool, that's cool, that's cool. Let's add, I feel like I didn't describe that very good. I'm actually gonna get rid of this masonry view. We don't need it anymore. Let's bring our 2-up view back here because we might bring it back into play, okay? But you can see that once I created my component, this is the master instance. And you can tell that it's the master instance because it has that little filled in green triangle on the very corner of it. That's showing you that that's the master component. So we can't make different states or changes to an instance. We have to make them to the master, so it's let us here. Just want to make sure we had that all clear. Everybody good on that? All right, cool. Let's do this. So we have that default state. We want to go ahead and add our little state by hitting the plus button. We want to create not a hover state, but a new state. And let's call this, let's just call it X to close, okay? So our default state is the menu, and our next state is gonna be X to close. Now you can see right now nothing's happening, right? Like as I switch in between the two, well, that's because we are able to now make changes. So I'll just show you that really quickly. Let's just make it red on one side, okay? And we'll flip back and forth. We can see the changes that are being made. Now we don't want it to be red. What we actually want is these to become equal size, and we want each of these to rotate to 45-degree angles, and we want them to come together, and then we want both of these to become white, okay? Now this is gonna be a little bit funky because we're not gonna be able to see it on that white background at first. But let's do this. Let's create a black shape really quickly, and then let's go here and we'll drag out a new version of our menu. And black, we won't be able to see it on black either. So let's do it on gray really quickly, okay? So now you can see we have our menu, and it's gonna turn from one to the other. Let's hit our little pencil. We'll go back to edit our master here, okay? But the thing is, we now have to give it a little bit of prototyping to go back and forth between the two. Otherwise, Adobe XD doesn't know what we're asking of it, okay? So let's go over to the prototype tab, and we're literally just on our default state here in our component. We're just gonna tap the little arrow, and it's gonna lead out to quote unquote nothing, but it's leading to something, okay? So stick with me. And we want to, on a tap, we wanna auto animate to the X to close destination, and we want to ease in, ease out like that, and 0.3 seconds, that's looking pretty good. Now let's go X to close. We want to do the same thing. Tap on it, tap, auto animate, back to the default state, and now we should be able to have a working animation, okay? What I actually want to do is I want to take my, I'm going to hit, go back to my design tab and hit A. I'm going to create a little artboard out of this. I just want to prototype it. I want to see it working, okay? So now we should see our, that looks really, really nice. Our little thing works. So everywhere that we have it, it should now work. Let's get rid of this artboard. We don't need it, okay? And let's go back to our screens in question, okay? And back over to our layers. So we, inside of here, we have the menu, okay? Inside of our nav. And this is just the old static icon, right? So we don't want that old static icon anymore. We want our new menu icon, and we want it to be to that state. So let's go like that, and let's see if we can prototype these two and see what happens. Oh, well, we got rid of the prototyping. We got rid of the prototyping on it, which we didn't want. So when we click on this menu, we want to add an interaction. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I think I messed up, right? Let's do this. We're going to take this whole navigation and we're going to lead it over, okay? And let's see, auto animate, category courses, ease in, ease out. That whole thing should work now like that. So now I can go over. Oh no, what happened? I messed up my stuff. I messed up my thing. Okay, so we're going to tap on that. Oh, excuse me. Oh, that's what is messed up. My bad. We're going to back up. We got to tap on the course. I don't know. I was having like a total brain fart just then. So let's get rid of this voice transition. We don't need that one anymore. And let's get rid of the drag transition. We're just going to work with the tap interaction there. It auto animates over to category courses. That should totally work for us, just like that. And we should see this go back and forth. So we're gonna have to work on that a little bit more, and I might be messing some things up, and other people are gonna correct me about how to use that, but it's okay. You get the point. The idea is that instead of using like just static states, we wanna create components for everything, and that's just gonna be a lot better for us, okay? So with that being said, let's get some more screens going on here. Let's actually prototype our onboarding. Let's do that. This is gonna be really, really fun. So we wanna make sure we have everything named similarly. So let's come back to our design tab and let's go. This says logo, and we also, ooh, what happened there? This one's called logo as well. And we also want to make sure these are in similar places. So let's just make sure our logo is at the very top of our layer stack on each of our screens. That's what we want. And we have our pagination also. This should be next up after each one of those. Pagination. Looking pretty good. Okay, so that's pretty cool. We have everything in place, all right? And we want to rename these things. So image 1, okay, let's come back and find this thing here. We're going to rename this image 2. Okay, let's go image 3, just so it's easy to access these guys, okay? And image 4. I hate looking in my prototype panel and seeing long names of an image that are like 300 characters. I'd rather just see it described very, very simply to me, okay? So this is rectangle 1. We're gonna call this, now we have some options here as we're prototyping. We're gonna prototype from screen to screen, and it might happen that we see the color just change, or maybe the whole thing will shift. Let's try it. Let's see what happens, okay? But this is our text, and we're going to want to make sure this is on this screen. Boop, and we're going to slide it out of the way and take the opacity down. And then I want to make sure that my text 2 is over here on this screen. Something like that. Take my opacity down like that. Now let's try to do a drag trigger. Let's try to do that, shall we? Let's go to prototype here. And I'm going to prototype from this screen to the next screen, and I'm going to do a drag trigger on the entire artboard. So no matter where I swipe on the entire artboard, it should be able to drag over. We're gonna auto animate. We wanna go to onboarding 1, easing, little ease in, ease out. And there's no timing because it's all dependent on, the timing of your drag. You can drag slow, you can drag fast. It's up to you, okay? Now we're gonna come back here and we're gonna do a similar thing. Drag, auto animate, back over to onboarding 1, 1, like that, ease in, ease out. Let's prototype this and see if it worked for us. Okay, we have a couple of problems, and that's number 1 is mainly our images, okay? So let's mess with our images right now. We wanna make sure that we have pagination, and we wanna make sure those are the same exact pagination, because if you copy things, if you don't make sure that they're the exact same elements, you're gonna have some problemos. Now our pagination should, what's going on with our pagination? We're having mas problemas today. Let's see, pagination, let's just move pagination on top like that. Let's make sure this pagination is on top like that. And let's play it again. Okay, pretty good. Now we'll just come over and let's get out of design. Let's just make sure this is 100% and this is back down there around 60%. Let's go back to our prototype. Something just like that. Okay, so let's click back here and press play. We should see our pagination down there on the bottom should work. Okay, so let's go back to prototype. The prototyping should work also. We want to make sure that that is our start. So we want to drag auto animate back that way. That should work, okay? Now we got to do the images as well. Let's do our images. So let's go to design. We have image 1. Let's bring it over here, paste it in there, drag it way over, and then let's find image 2 and make sure it's in our first artboard. Oh, that's what the problem is. That's what the problem is. I think I've realized now. This is like a PNG and this is like a solid element. That's right. We have to fix this because this is not working the way we wanted it to work. So we need to find really quickly, we need to find our PNG version of this and just keep things similar. Let's just simplify things. Keep it similar, okay? So we have the pink there. Let's drag our PNG. Just want a similar interaction going on with everything. That's what we want. We're gonna call this image 2, just like that. I had things set up incorrectly. That's why you gotta make sure you're doing things correctly, folks. Okay, so let's try that again. We should now have this image over here. Drag it off this screen and it should be fine. And there's enough left over in the PNG, we can just drag it that way. So that should work great. So we're gonna take image 1 and it is on there and it is on there. So we have image 1 and image 2 inside of each of these. Just make sure they're in the same place in the layer stack. Let's see what we get now as we drag. We should see things move out of the way, okay? Now the color change isn't great. Okay, so we have rectangle 1 and we have rectangle 1. Let's call this rectangle 2. Okay, and I'm gonna make each of these rectangles a bit wider. That's kind of what I'm thinking. A little bit wider. Okay, and we want color 1 to kind of be over here on this side. And take that down. And vice versa. This will slide this way. Over to the edge and opacity goes down. Here it goes. We slide things over. It's kind of working. It's kind of not really working. We're gonna have to keep figuring this out. Somebody's gonna have to tell me what I'm doing wrong because I'm doing things wrong, super wrong. Rectangle 1. Aha! Rectangle 1, rectangle 2. Rectangle 1, rectangle 2. Something like that. Something like that. And you know what we need? Yeah, that's what we need. We need to just mess with our opacity. But one thing I really want to focus on here before we get too far is I want to switch this pagination, all right? How's everybody doing in the chat, all right? Somebody says, just jumped in from Boston. Everybody seems like they're doing good. Minimal Design Studio says this is complex. I love the live troubleshooting with auto animate. I'm glad that everybody is having fun watching me struggle. This is real life, yo. Can we all be real about it? Sometimes you don't have the answer right out of the gate. Sometimes I'm just like, my brain's not quite there. Is everybody with me? You're just like, it's a Tuesday. You're still shaking off the rust a little bit, but you need to spend some time like figuring this out. I need to make sure it's right. Sometimes I just wanna, oh, I have an idea. Do we want to try something like kind of different? Let's try something kind of different. Hold on. I have such a cool idea. Let's see if this works. I want to paste this here. I want to take it across my entire thing, and I'm going to fill it with, I just want to try a gradient. I just want to try a gradient really quickly. Let's get the colors out, and let's move the gradient from one side to another. This would make it really, I think this might make it kind of cool. Let's start with that color, and over here on this end, right? Oops. Over here on this end, let's move to the blue. Okay, let's set up some more stop points in the middle. Somewhere around there, we're gonna take the paint. I'm just trying something just because I'm wondering if it'll look all right. Not because I have any other reason, just because I'm wondering, okay? So let's just separate our gradients. We're doing a little live gradient work here. Okay, I wonder if that could work. This is rectangle. I'm gonna call this rectangle G. Okay, I'm gonna drag this down, and let me know if you're like me, but when I work in Adobe XD, because of the freedom of artboards, bro, I just drag things around. I just drag versions. It's like my old Illustrator workflow from back in the day where I'm like not even afraid to just drag versions out. Use the pink rectangle under the yellow, somebody is saying. The pink rectangle under the, you know what? It would also help, I think, Puddin, I love that screen name, by the way. Puddin has a really good point about something which is like, it's confusing. So when they're just named rectangle 1 and rectangle 2, we should name them rectangle pink and rectangle orange, right? Shouldn't we? Shan't we? So let's just rename pink like that. And Puddin is saying use the pink underneath. Maybe that's the problem. Pink underneath. Uh-oh, I think I'm messing things up. This is orange, and this is pink. Boom, 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 boom. That is pink, and that is orange, okay? This is pink, and this is orange, okay? So it should work now. I'm pretty sure. Pink underneath the orange. Let's just try that really quick. We have to prototype it again really quick. Let's just do a really quick tap. Trigger, auto animate to 1.3. And then back here, tap anywhere on the screen, auto animate back to 1.2. Go right here, make this the home for a prototype, press play, and we go back and forth between the two. We have a little bit of that. I'm not the biggest fan of the little flash that's in between there, but that's the opacity going in and out. So before we do this gradient solution or attempt, let's just keep working this out. One of the things you can do is we have orange here, and my pink is underneath, and it's supposed to be sliding over, right? So one of the things we can do is let's switch them. I think this might be what Puddin was saying, which is we want to have the orange here and the pink on top like that, right? So that when the pink comes in, the orange doesn't move at all. So make sure that our orange is on the bottom. Let's move this over. Let's move this back in. 100% it back up. Let's see if that works, okay? And we could probably just gradient back and forth with the pink. Something like that could work. That could totally work. Let's just stick with that. I don't even want to do that gradient nonsense. I think this is better. You know what we could do? We could do our gradient here. This could be fun. Let's go over to the dark side here. Let's grab our pink or whatever, take the transparency way down, and then we just mix up this gradient. Hello. And we're gonna see the gradient come over until it hits all the way on the pink. So now let's try this. Boom. Ooh, that's kind of nice. I kind of like it. Let's do it. Let's do something like that. Okay. So now we have rectangle pink. let's replace this old rectangle pink with this new rectangle pink and just move it back this way. This is gonna look dope. Here we go. So now we're just coming over and we have a little bit of that orange over on the side. I kind of like that. I think that's nice. There's a little bit of flashing still, but that's okay. And that is how we would animate a little piece of that arm boarding. Let's get rid of that gradient because I knew I just wasn't gonna like that, okay? Now, I'm just jumping around. I'm just having fun today, okay? So place both images on the same board, yellow 100%, pink 100%. On the second board, do the same, but now set the yellow opacity to 0. Yeah, that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back to it. I promise I'll get back to it. I wanna create some more supporting screens and not just keep working on the same screens that I have. Otherwise, I will have spent 2 days only making like a handful of screens. And I don't want that at all, okay? So so here's the idea, right? Like we log in and we see the different categories, courses, games, jobs, and we are able to then click on courses and go into a selection of courses like home workout, how to study, routines and habits, arts and crafts 101. But what happens when you click inside one of these courses? It would probably, we would hope, it would display some of the content, right? This is the idea. We want people actually being able to like interact with content. So that's what we want. So this is probably the time in the application where we're gonna break from all of like the really nice tailored images and actually have to go to images of the content. We don't have any of that, but we are gonna say that we do, okay? So let's do games, for instance, okay? So we go, let's move this up here so we can see all of these on the screen at the same time. Here we go. So let's just do this again really quickly. Category 2, and we have all of our elements up here, but they're the wrong elements, right? So we want to get rid of that. Paste category 2, and this is exactly what we did yesterday. We manipulated like all of the the information inside of the group so it can animate from one side to another. It's exactly what we did before. Took our little pool table deal, right? We made sure that our courses card is above it, so it kind of cuts it off, so it's looking kind of fresh like that, kind of spicy. And then we jumped this up to 35 and 19. So we took our text, we moved it up here, and we jumped that up like that, something like that. So 35 and 19. Okay, we took both of our pieces of text. Zoom in so we can see what we're working on here, what we're actually doing. Games, 75 games, very cool. So we could put like some different things in here, like video. What are some favorite? Oh, obviously we got to do Fortnite, right? That's a deal. How about I have a really like a favorite board game that I play, and there's like a board game version of it online, and it's called Scythe. That's a fun thing you can do online right now. Steam. How about free Steam games? Something else down here, like I don't know, Monopoly. Not a very good game, but a game for sure. Okay. So we could go out and find like some images like for all of these things. And then we are prototyping, right? Let's get back to prototyping. We want to click on our games here and we want to prototype over, right? So that would be the thing here. Let's go back here. We have this, our courses card. We're going to call this courses card courses. We have to call this one the same thing then too, right? Courses card, courses. And now we have this other one that's courses card, games. Okay, so we're gonna wanna take this courses card and also put it inside of there, okay? So boom, there's our games. Pull that down just like the other one. Opacity down, just like that, okay? Courses card, games. Oops, I put it inside the wrong screen. Here it is. Okay. Of course, this card goes down. Looking good, looking pretty good. So now we should be able to, in our prototype tab, we're prototyping over there and the games card is gonna pop up. On tap, we auto animate to the category of games, something like that. So let's see if that works for both of our tap points. Now you can see we have a tap point there and we have a tap point up here. So if we go over to games, getting something, but we're not getting exactly what we thought we would get, are we? We are not getting that at all. Let's try this again. I am going to, for now, edit this, get rid of my X to close, delete that state. Let's just keep that current state because we messed some stuff up there. We surely did. Let's just stick with that for now. Let's go up to design, our menu thing. I'm gonna come back and fix these component states here in a second, I promise. Boom, boom, just like that. Let's make them both black again. Rotate it, make our little menu deal back to where it was. Okay, go back into our prototyping. Man, I'm doing a lot. This is not what you want to do in real life, which is like do double work. I'm doing a lot of double work. So coming in, I'm hitting that. It's animating over. I'm coming and I'm hitting that and it should be animating back. Okay, so let's see if we can prototype and make it work. Boom, like that. All right, we're back to it kind of working a little bit. So that feels pretty good. But we should also be able to click on games and get a similar transition. Something's wrong with our transition, I think. And that thing that is wrong, let's dig in and find out. This is all about troubleshooting. This is what happens when you do things live. You got the extras in there. You know what's wrong? I know what's wrong. So I have my two other cards inside of this extras folder. So let's go here. Cat 1, Cat 2. Boom, we're gonna bring all of them out. Okay. And then my extras, I'm gonna bring out over here as well. Boom. Just make sure they're out of that folder. Okay, Cat 1, Cat 2. I am messing things up, y'all. Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3. Boom. We should have category 1, category 2, and category 3. Let's put them underneath there. That's not working for some reason. I'm having, So, somebody, Gustavo said PUBG Mobile. That is another game for sure that we should add onto our list. Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3. Let's just take these. Tell you what, since we're having a little brain fart moments here, let's just paste them in like that. And they opacity down. So we should be working. Okay, I'm gonna describe what I just did there. I made some fixes, right? So our card's working really, really good. We have category 1, category 2, category 3. And over here, category 1, I'm gonna get rid of these extras. We're just keeping the same thing. So we have category 1, 2, and 3, and we need to make sure that as they animate to and from everything, that those elements are still available, they are still there, and they're still in a similar order, right? So this is category 1, 2, and 3 going from bottom to top. 1, 2, and 3 going from bottom to top. And 1, 2, and 3 going from bottom to top. So now, hopefully, cross our fingers. There we go. Now we're getting our animation. Let's take our same navigation here, go over to the prototype. This is a pretty smooth little move. We'll take our nav, come over here to prototype and paste it in. Now we're getting, when you paste from the prototype screen, you're gonna get all the prototype stuff that's embedded inside of it, right? So now we're able to go back and forth between everything. And finally, we have something that's working a little bit better, right? Just a little bit better. I think so. What is controls though? Where are my controls going? One thing I'm not a big fan of is the controls moving up though. I kind of want those just to stay where they're at. So I'm going to take my controls. Sometimes the easiest thing to do is literally just paste them in there, you know? Just remove anything you messed with and paste right there. Boom, right in place. Now we won't see this little category typography and this little see all button. We won't see that move. It'll just stay still. I don't think it needed to move. I also don't think that technically speaking, the avatar needs to move either. That's all right. We won't mess with it right now. So now we're going to a couple things. Let's just, because we're here, let's do one more, right? What do we have to do? We have to category games, category courses. We're going to call this one category jobs. Boom, we're just going to repeat kind of the same formula here where we take this information, we come over here, we should have category 1, 2, and 3. 3 is our jobs, which is what we want to focus on here. So we actually want to take category 2, because that's our other one. We want it to go like that. Boom, boom, boom. And we want to now take category 3 and make it the big one, don't we? Category 3. Let's just use our X and our Y controls, or controls over there in the inspector panel, and let's rework that little deal there. So we'll just bring it right to the same thing we did with the other ones, right? Just enlarging our image like that, making sure that our shape reaches to the top, just like that. Finding our text, bumping that up, something like that. And then obviously changing these to be something that makes a little bit more sense, because we're going to now call this, instead of calling it courses card games, we're going to call this one courses card jobs, right? And we're going to switch some things up here. So let's, what are some jobs that you can do from home? Let's do remote designer. Not remote design. Yeah, remote designer. Let's do front end dev. Do that. You can go user tester from home. These are all things you can do without leaving the house. Let's do just a funny one down here. Sweatpants hero. Yeah, man. Everybody wants to be a sweatpants hero. And just for fun, why don't we kind of select this guy, and we'll go back to our stuff here. And I'm just going to arrange these by kind. Take some other images so we don't have the exact same images in there, okay? And I'm just going to drag these guys into my image. Woo! That was wrong. There's our image selected, right? All right, and we should be able to drag these. Oh, for some reason, it's not letting me. That's okay. That's okay. We'll just keep it as it is. I don't mind. But now we have our new card, courses card jobs. Again, we're going to come back over to this side to our home screen. Okay. And we have our courses card, courses games. Let's just bring our layers panel out so we can see stuff. And our jobs one. And we're going to bring the opacity down, and we're going to drag it down to the bottom of the screen. Again, we're going to do our little prototyping action, right? Where we select our element, come in here to prototype, and we're going to prototype over to our job screen, tap, auto animate, booyah. And this one should have, let's just take that, delete this, paste it in, so it has the same animation going right back. Now we should be able to animate all three of them, or prototype all three of them. 1, 2, and 3. No problemo. Okay. You can change timing. We can change the easing to all that stuff, but you know, oh, somebody said call center worker. That's a good one. Virtual assistant. Okay. Animal. Oh no, not animal. Somebody said Animal Crossing. I thought you were saying that was a job. It's not a job, but it's a thing. remember that in about, let's see, a little less than an hour, we're going to be doing project reviews that are submitted in the current challenge tab of Discord. So you haven't participated or done any of the challenge from Howard Pinsky's Adobe Daily Creative Challenge, you could be working on that at the same time I'm working on this. You could just keep me on, keep this stream on and use it as like some comfort sound in the background while you do Howard's challenge, if that's what you want to do. And then, yeah, you know what I think would be fun though? Can we just talk about something really quick? I think it would be fun to do an animation, and we might not do it now, but I think it would be fun to do an animation where instead of see all here, we move from the 1 up to the 2 up grid, and we could just see all of these things animate like back and forth and change size. I think that would be kind of fun. Why don't we come back to that? Let's put a pin in that idea, and let's get another screen in here, because let's say somebody clicks on one of these elements, right? Like home workout. Let's say somebody clicks on home workout. What do they see? They're gonna need to see, most likely, they're gonna need to see some sort of like details to that course. So let's build a course page really quickly, okay? So let's take this category courses. I'm gonna drag it up here just so I have some of the items that are in there. Somebody said he did add Monopoly, which is a board game, I guess. Take it from me, I'm a hardcore board gamer. I love me some board games. Monopoly, it does count. It's not a great board game. If you have a favorite board game, put it down in the chat. I would love to hear what some of your favorite board games are. Frankie says, I think it should be possible to animate all 3 in one single artboard using component states. That's true. You can. You can do that in component states. Component states can get pretty awesome, pretty amazing, like pretty quickly. So keep that in mind. Like all that could be done inside of a component state. And you can have this all in the same card. It could be component state 1, swiping the different cards up and down, like to component state 2, swiping the cards up and down, animating like the different elements up and down. You could totally do that. That's a thing you can do. But let's move. So Frankie, good call. Absolutely good call. That's just like not full. I use component states for a lot of stuff right now, but I'm not using them fully for everything like that. But it kind of depends on the workflow, right? If you want to present like really hardcore interactive prototypes where users can test them and they can test like every single thing that's there, you have states ready for every single thing, you can totally do that. If you just need to have visuals and some basic flows like mapped out, it may not necessarily be something you want to spend the time doing. It's just kind of a workflow preference, I think. So let's do this. Let's say a user clicks on home workout. Where do they go? They're going to go up here. We're going to call this course home workout. We're going to make a new screen up here. Let's do it. So what this is going to want to do is, I think I'm going to want to bring my card all the way up, right? Or maybe a little further up. Ooh, that could be fun if we use this. So instead of going like all the way up and just switching to something, we could keep our little X there, and we can now animate our X and turn it into like a back arrow. That could be kind of cool. So they can go back and see all the, like, you know, almost like we're layering things, we're stacking things. Let's do something like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna break this down really, really quickly. And let's see. Let's move like this. Move that up. Okay. And let's just do a little card extension here so we see the full length of the card. So we have home workout. This is a course you can take. Let's go to prototype and do this prototype really quickly. I'm going to go to this row. Take the text. Let's take this text, animate it up, tap auto animate course home workout, something like that. And then why don't we take the whole card and we'll animate it back down. Let's just play with a drag trigger really quickly, auto animate back to the courses, and let's see what that looks like. To go here, up, we could drag our card back down. And so again, we're saying like, what do we want to do? Like, let's go for a home workout. It slides up, and then we can put all the details of home workout right there. Slide it back down, and we see all the other courses, like all the other selections we have available to us. And we're gonna lay out a bunch more details for our home workout course right there. So first things first, let's do this. Let's go back to our design tab. Let's I think drop that down, and let's bring in a call to action button. I think that would probably be important, right? Don't you think? So we have something for the user to lock onto. Okay, let's do that. I'm gonna take the border off. I'm gonna fill it with one of my colors. Let's just fill it with the blue, and let's make this a pill style button, something like this. And let's drag out, let's put some text in here. Start course. Okay, I'll drop that right in the middle there. And let's go 20 pixels, and let's make this white, just like that. And maybe this is not gonna be up there. Maybe this will be like a bottom anchored like call to action. I think that probably makes a little bit more sense. So as it slides up, let's get some details to this course right here. And then down at the very bottom, it's not necessarily a floating action button, like a persistent button. There you go, a persistent call to action. That's what I was trying to get at. Okay, cool. If you have any questions about kind of component states, Frankie is dropping some sweet knowledge over in the chat. If you're not engaging in the chat, you should, because this is what the community deal's all about, man. This is what's up, is people helping people learn the coolness. We're learning the cool stuff, all right? So we're gonna start our course. Let's take this and let's call this button, and we might as well make a component out of it. So we're gonna press Command or Control K, and that will allow us to now see in our components, we have buttons and buttons and buttons galore. And if we change, again, basics of component stuff, if we change it in one place, it changes everywhere. So for instance, maybe we don't want to always use an accent color. Maybe we want to go like back to our dark color and have that be the consistent call to action color, or like just the, I think that might actually work. First off, let's make sure that that color is inside of our color components, or our color section of our assets panel. I like that better. That way, if this is purple in the background or pink or blue, it doesn't really matter. You have this nice, easy to find, consistent call to action. And that is a huge part of user experience design, is creating learnability and consistency for your users as you go, okay? So what do we Mark Moran says, Jesse needs to prototype an app that shows how he keeps his hairstyle on point during Yo, I haven't had a haircut since this whole thing started. This is madness. I'm gonna have to cut my own hair, and I don't think you can build an app for that, because that's just, you're gonna get all sorts of funky stuff. So if anybody has a good tutorial on how to fade your own hair, hook that up, put that in the chat. I would love to watch it. Okay. We're gonna need some details. Let's do some typographic layout stuff, and then we can animate it in. That sounds like fun. Okay, so we're still working inside of our courses card courses, right? And let's see how that is working. So we'll slide it back down. Everything's working, right? So we can click on it. It slides up. Slide it back down like that. That's kind of cool. Boom, boom, boom. I like that. I want to see all the different chapters of the course. And each of these screens will probably be pretty specific to the category. So right now we're designing a specific screen for this type of content, which would be courses. Courses usually run in modules, chapters, pieces, sections, however you want to say it. So I think it's going to be pretty specific, but that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes this might work for other things, like if you had an Audible book or like an audio book, you could break it up by chapters, something like that. So let's take our text here. Why don't we, boom, 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 paste a new version of our text in, okay? And we'll just say module 1, or actually, so intro to, how about home, gym setup. Okay, that would be like Thank you, autocorrect, for fixing my horrible spelling and grammar. Okay, let's bring home gym setup. Now you're like, well, that doesn't seem like it's going to be very good. I promise you it's going to make sense in a second. Let's bring some more text underneath it. Okay, and stretch this out. Set up your home gym. Okay, and we know that each of these is probably, let's say, video content or like reading time. So let's say like 3 minutes, something like that. And we're going to introduce a new style, right? So let's take this, drop it down, boom, boom. We're using Poppins. We're on regular. Let's go light and even lighten up just the color of it like that. Set up your home gym and get ready to start the course and get ripped in your own home. Can we just talk about how I love writing fake marketing copy, because it really makes me happy? Okay, so in 3 minutes, you're going to set up your home gym setup and a little description set there. Okay, so let's take this, because this is our new style. Let's add that. And I really should start renaming this, like all these things. Like for instance, I'm pretty sure this is our 22-point Poppins, and we'd want to rename that. I think in front-end web development and web design terms, so I'm just going to call this in H2, and I'm going to call this in H1. It's not necessarily, but in my mind, if you don't know what those are, in web design, you got H1 all the way through H6. A lot of times it denotes importance, not necessarily just visual and style, but importance. So whereas on our home screen, or our login screens, we had these giant like headlines. They're not quite as giant, but they are important, right? So that's kind of the idea. And maybe that should be a little bit smaller. I think so. So it's not competing here with this. So we're going to call that H3. We use the H3 for this. This is our 12 point. We're going to rename this body copy. Okay. See, we have a larger one and the normal body copy. So let's rename this larger one subheadlines, something like that. Okay. And then you can just dance in between all of these, and it feels really, really nice. That feels like a nice little setup. Somehow I moved my card over. We don't want that. Let's take all of these and let's see. Let's do something a little bit fancy with it. Okay. I'm going to bring my text box in a little bit, and I am going to add an H1, boom, like that. And I'm just going to call it 1, but I'm going to take the opacity way down, and I'm actually going to go even bigger. So I'm going to do this really subtle number 1. And in my layers panel, I just want to make sure that it's behind everything. Let's zoom in. This is like kind of an old print style of doing some kind of flourishes or some fun on your typography. Just like a nice big number that denotes it. We're at like 4% opacity, not 5, not 3. I think 4 is the number for us. So it's just barely visible in there. And let's take these 3 and just kick it over a little bit, like a little bit of overlap there. And that might just be a little too big. Might be a little too overwhelming. I know this is like what I'm doing right now is a game of inches or just like millimeters. Okay, so let's take all of that and let's do one more thing. I think we should even bring this over a little bit more. Double click on my box so that we space things correctly. I'm gonna go back. I don't like what I did there. Boom. What I really want is a little play button. So we're going to hit E for ellipse. We're going to make a new component of some kind. Get rid of the border, and we're going to go like not a color we've used so far, but I want something very, very obvious. Okay, this is like where you start weighing the options of like, what's the right thing to do? Do I need to make it really stand out? Do I need to follow the color palette? I'm choosing to make this one really, really stand out. So we are 35 pixels on the left-hand edge. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're rocking only 30. And then this one can also be 30. And we should really start readjusting our text to make sense, okay? So just a little bit bigger like this. Set up a home gym. Let's just shorten this. Get ready to start the course. Get ripped in your... Let's even do this. Let's set some rules. some ellipsis so we never have text that travels past that point. Okay, I'm going to top align this. I'm going to get my polygon tool. Let's do some polygon action here. You'd think it's the triangle tool, but you can create lots of different polygon styles out of it. So keep that in mind as you're going. I'm going to take the border off of it and I'm going to round. I'm just going to do a little border radius, just 1. And I'm going to turn it over on the side. There's a little optical illusion that happens here if you don't know. Like, we can align things perfectly in the center, perfectly vertically and horizontally, but that play button now looks a little bit off because the butt end of it is heavier than the front end. So it's a little bit of an optical illusion. You actually have to cheat that a little bit. And I don't have better advice to give you right now except just to eyeball it. I know that's gonna sound super lame, but that's what I do. I know that it's an optical illusion. I know that it's not right, and I just eyeball that thing. So let's just bring this down. I like that. That's my play button. And I'm gonna grab all of my elements like this. I'm gonna group it together. And then I'm going to Command R, repeat grid this thing, and just drag this down. Okay, I'm gonna mess with my spacing in between, something like that. Okay, so then I just go through and I'm gonna update these, the chapters of the course, okay? Back, how about like 10-minute cardio? Let's do 10-minute cardio for that one. Let's do push-ups and how do you spell burpees? I think that's how you spell burpees. Okay, push-ups and burpees, intense core, and let's do this. We'll call it yoga to the max, something like that. I like having fun with my fake content. I don't know if you've noticed, but I certainly do. Okay, I want to make sure that our button is on top of this. And I want to do something to maybe denote you got to scroll down a little bit. So I'm going to draw a rectangle from the bottom, and I'm going to take the border off and fill it with a linear gradient that goes from white to white, but one of those whites is a little bit softer than the other, okay? And then I think I made it go the wrong way, so I'm going to make it go this way and press Command or Control bracket left to make sure it's dropped behind the button. And then I'm going to lead this up the page a little bit, and I'm going to mess with because I really don't want it interfering with my button. I want you to be able to see that there's content down there, but I don't want it to get in the way, right? I want my little course thing to stand out. So let's just change these really quick. I'm going to Command or Control L lock this thing. I'm just going to bring it above for a second. Timing on this, probably 10 minutes and 53 seconds. Even though it says 10 minutes, workouts always take a little longer. Come on. They're lying to you about how that 10-minute ab workout. Push-ups, let's do 8 minutes. Intense core, let's go 6 minutes and 25 seconds. I don't know, something like that, okay? Now let's bring our rectangle back above. I'm gonna call this rectangle the fade. We're still trying to layer or name our layers, like make sure we do that. Bring our card down to the appropriate size. And then, okay, let's grab all this information because we have our course card, obviously like that changed a little bit, didn't it? But then we have our new repeat grid and our fade and our button. We can group all those things together, and let's call this course info. Okay, I'm gonna look into the chat and see how everyone's doing. All right, cool, the people are chatting away. If you got questions, let me know. Sorry, because I just got into the groove. I started cranking some things out and I got really, really excited. And I forgot to check if people have any questions in the chat. Jesse I did used to live in Hawaii. I lived there for like 15 years. So that's a fun one. People are posting some of their favorite games still. So somebody said the game. I think I know which one you're talking about. Ooh, Sherlock Holmes. There is a Sherlock Holmes game that's like a mystery you have to solve. So maybe that's one you guys could try at home. Okay, cool. Well, let me know if you have any questions about what's going on here, what I'm designing. We got about 25 minutes. Oh, that's a good question. Hope Bryant says that there are some accessibility issues in there with the faded text. Overall, the design is very nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. I actually don't think that there's an accessibility issue with the text fading. I don't think we want to fade it that much, but the accessibility of showing whether or not something is legible, it's readable. I think that in the content on the top it gives this idea that you have to scroll down to see the rest of it. I'd like to do a little scroll interaction here. Let's actually take our repeat grid for our course stuff, because maybe there's more down here, right? Maybe there's more course stuff down here, and we just can't see it because it's hidden below. You might be right though, Hope. We might want to make just a nice block right here so that the whole thing's like a bottom anchored navigation that the user always has to scroll up past. We might want to do that. I just don't want the button and the text to mesh. I want there to be some separation there. There might be some other solutions. There's always lots of solutions on how to do one particular thing. But now that we have our course info, let's make sure our course info is here as well. And we're just going to take our course info and scroll it down so you can't see it on this one. And now when we prototype, we should be able to click and have our course info come up, and then we can drag everything back down. But you can see we get a little bit of that funkiness there. A little bit of funkiness is happening there. That's okay. It's our drag trigger mainly doing that. We can prototype back using the tap to auto animate and go back to the courses. Let's go a tap trigger there. So now we should be able to tap and close this whole thing, bring it up, tap to close. I don't like that animation. That animation, there's no easing on it. And how are we easing on this thing with the snap easing, right? I do kind of like that snappiness. So let's find that again. Let's add a little bit of snap, and now we should be able to go course information down, course information up, just like that. Boom. That's looking pretty cool. Now I want to be able to drag this this card down and see the information below. That's what I really, really want to do. So let's try. Let's see. I want to click. Yeah, let's see. How can we put these things together? Course, card, courses, and then let's put the course info inside of the whole deal. Okay, let's try that. And let's do the same thing here. The course info is going inside. Okay, does our prototype still work good? It's still working pretty nicely. Things are shooting up and down into place just like they should. Now here's what I'm thinking. Let's take the whole card here, courses, card, courses, and let's do, like Frankie was saying earlier, let's do a component state. Shall we try it? Okay, let's see if we can make this work. This is going to be course, card, courses, just like so. We want to create a component out of it. So let's go out of design. Let's create a component out of it. It's now the master, right? So we are going to get rid of it up here. Boom, post it like that. The whole thing came up the way we told it to. And we animated from one to the other. Yeah, this is an instance, so we should be able to open all the stuff up, right? The course cell, let's bring it up just like we did. Let's bring up our course info just like we did there. Okay, and let's see if that works. As our prototype still should be there where we go from one to the other. So now we created a component out of it, and that component is all just animating within itself from board to board. But now I want to create a component state here for this individual artboard. And the goal of what we're going to try to accomplish, and we'll see how it goes today, because I have not been very successful with accomplishing things so far today. I apologize about that. But what we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to get like a draggable trigger. So as we drag the card up, I want the information to drag and the card to extend, okay? So let's do this. Let's go back to our design tab. We have our default state, and now we have to work. Yep, we have to work here. Here's our default state. Maybe. I really wish I could put the master up here. That's what I really, really want. That's what I want. I'm gonna X this out. Get rid of that. I'm gonna put my master up here. That's what I really want, because I want to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's get in there and do that work again really quickly. Repeat grid up, content up, just like so. Boom, no problem. And then when we look inside of our component or our assets panel, we have it again. So we can just reverse the work that we did there, which would be to take this stuff down and bring our repeat grid back into play like that. Okay. So now everything should still be cruising. We should be all right still. Okay. Something like that. And this just needed to go a little further down. That's why it's looking a little funky. There we go. So up and down, up and down. Okay, so that's looking all right. And now we have the master up here that we can work on. Let's create another component state, or that could have been a state as well, couldn't have it? I'm gonna skip the state for a second. I'm gonna try it first with just a normal prototype, okay? So let's do this. I'm gonna roll this whole thing up. Not the whole thing, actually. Let's come in here. Let's go back to our layers panel. The card is gonna go up like that. Just make sure it's extending good. And the course info and all that stuff is gonna scroll up. I messed up, not that. And the button, I want you to stay there. Yeah, there we go. I want to take my repeat grid. I want to take this thing and I want this thing to go up. And then I want to take my repeat grid and I want this thing to go up. And because we've reached the end of the list, I'm just gonna do a little tweak and animate it like that. And let's see if this works, okay? Sorry, I got a little intense there for a second. This is day 2 of 2, Sam Peterson says, responding to Mark Moran. That's right, this is it. This is the time, all right? So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take our course card courses and we're gonna prototype over here. It's gonna be, we already have a drag trigger on it, don't we? So let's go back, let's figure out what we got going on here. And I don't think we need that anymore. Let's delete that drag trigger. Instead, let's do a drag trigger over this way. We're gonna drag up, it's gonna auto animate there. And then we want to drag back, auto animate like so. So let's press play and drag this up. Ooh, that got a little funky really fast because it's leaving the card. That's okay, we just need the card to move a little further, a little faster. So let's do that. Let's get our card, design it. Okay, we want, you can see that the card's not quite extending to where the rest of it is, right? So let's move the card up further, faster, and we won't get that problem. Okay, so now we're prototyping, we should be able to scroll up. It's a little funky. It's a little funky if I'm gonna be honest. Can we all just be honest? I like being honest about my work. It's not quite all I hoped that it would be. That's okay. That's okay. Here, let's prototype from here. Should be able to drag up and see all of the information there and drag back down. Up and then down. Ooh, go back to our prototype. We're having a problem with our drag trigger now. Courses card. No, it's working. No, it's totally working. Look, there it is. Drag up, drag down. Cool. And then again, we can close our card, pop it up, drag it down, see how that goes, okay? Let's do one more little, before we jump into some portfolio reviews, let's do another little interaction here. We're gonna do an overlay, because if you press start course, I'm gonna wanna see like something pop up. And I can't think of anything else to do besides like, boom, like you've signed up, congratulations, like time to get started. Just something like that maybe, okay? So let's try something like that. Mark Moran says, "Oh, I do." Mark Moran says, "I have a YouTube channel, and if you like YouTube videos about design and development and freelance stuff, you can go check it out." So thank you. I appreciate that, Mark. I appreciate that so much. Interesting course. Can't wait for multiple drag tap triggers on the same group. I know, right, Frankie? Oh my goodness, so excited. Because here's the cool thing. In one of the most recent releases for XD, now you can have multiple interactions on the same element. So you can have a tap, a drag, a voice, a gamepad, trigger, all of them on the same, but you can't have multiple of the same. So you can't tap and have another tap. But it would make sense to have multiple drag triggers on something like dragging left or dragging right. So that might be kind of a nice deal to have multiple drag triggers. And guess what? I'm sure if Howard Pinsky was in here right now, he'd probably go, wink, wink, in some sort of digital way, because he always does that to me. I'll mention something and he'll just wink at me, which I love that man. I just want to be like Howard when I grow up. Okay, so we want to do that, but let's first draw an artboard like so. Okay, let's play with this and see what we can do. Here's our artboard, and we are going to, I'm just going to kind of make it the size I want the overlay to be, okay? So I might make it a little smaller so we can see what we're doing. Okay. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to do this the right way. I'm going to go with an 11 Pro, just like that. I'm going to call this overlay. Boom, okay? I'm going to draw a rectangle in the middle of said overlay. I'm going to go here and drag a button out. It's going to be pretty radical. Something happened and I didn't drag it to the right document. There we go. Now we're talking, okay? Let's just edit my button, make it a little bit smaller, and let's give this a black fill, but very light opacity. Okay, shall we? Let's take the border off this thing. Little rounded corners right there. Okay. Let's fill this with something else. Something like that. Oh, whoops. Let's grab the actual shape inside of the button and not the entire button. I think that's a good distinction to make. Sometimes you can grab an entire component like this and you can change the color of it and it changes everything inside of it. It's like recursive down through all of the layers. But if you grab the individual layer, now you're talking. Now you got something you can work with, okay? So let's do something like this. Put that inside. I'm going to center align this text and center align everything with the card, just like this. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because I want this. I'm going to break the deal. So, congrats. That says confrats. That's not that's not a thing at all. It's not how you spell that, okay? So let's go like this. We're just kind of creating our own little pop-up, our own little modal, okay? And I wonder if we can do this. We can. I have a little app that I use on my computer called Rocket, and it's like for emojis, so I can just type emojis in whenever I want. And so that's what I just did. I typed that emoji right in there. Play chapter 1. Let's make sure all this stuff is center line. Congrats! You just started a course. I'm doing all this in caps by accident. Congrats, you just started a course. Tap the button to get to begin your first chapter. I don't know, something like that. Okay, let's bring all that together and just group it. And let's make a component out of it just because, and we'll go into our components thing and call this overlay. Boom, like that, so we can reuse those guys. And let's just center this right in the middle. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our prototype. We're gonna click on our button. When somebody clicks this, we wanna prototype this thing in. And we want to, oh, wait a minute. Not drag, tap, okay? We want to do an overlay when it's tapped. We're gonna put it right in the middle, just like it is. It's gonna dissolve in just like that in 0.3 seconds. And that will be good. Let's try it, okay? shall we? Let's go here. Boom, we're gonna start the course. Ooh, that didn't work very good. You know why? Because that's not responsive to this background fill. Once we set it as an overlay, it's like, there's nothing back there. You're not telling me to have anything there. Okay, so why don't we just draw a rectangle, take the border off, do this again, and then take the transparency down. And then let's try it again. Boom. Now we get slight overlay. It's not quite enough for me. Let's go up to 25% and see what that looks like. Play, start the course. It's a little bit darker. We're gonna just trial and error this thing. Let's go up to maybe 40%. And on our component, on our card, let's drop a little shadow on that thing and see how it looks. Okay, it's a little more shadow than I'd probably like, but boom, it stands out. And our button is massive, isn't it? Look at that. It doesn't need to be that big. Congrats, you just started a course. Tap the button to begin. So let's check this part of our prototype out where we can just press play. We can select that thing. We can scroll it up. I like the look of this course. Let's start it. Congrats. I click out of it because when you do an overlay, the natural reaction for is you click anywhere, you get to click out of it. So that's pretty cool. Mark says, dang, Rocket's nice. It is. I speak in emojis so much that I just have to have it, okay? We got about 9 minutes left until we do some reviews of work that you might have done in the Daily Creative Challenge. So I'm gonna be jumping over here to the Discord into the current challenge tab, and I'm going to be looking at some of these amazing pieces of work there and just giving you my thoughts and my feedback. So if you have something, please feel free to drop it in there. I might also jump around in here and look at past challenges or, you know, some other spots. So let's keep cruising. We got a couple more minutes and we're doing some interesting work here. I saw a little, yeah, no, that works out all right. I just want to, can I just see that again? Because I really like it. I want to scroll up, start the course. Boom, congrats. Very cool. Somebody said we should have, somebody says we should have a video player screen. So that's probably what we should do next. We should hit the play chapter button and jump over to the video player. Mark Moran asks if I ever consider doing courses on a platform like Udemy, Teachable or something, besides all the other stuff that you do, of course. Yeah, I've definitely thought about it, and I might have some things coming out soon. Just digital wink, wink. That's all I'm saying. You can head over to my website if you're interested in finding out about the things that I do. But let's create a video screen for this, okay? Let's do it. So I am digging this style that we had going on here. So let's go, maybe we should just go into a full-blown, yeah, let's go into a full-blown screen, okay? I don't think we need to mess around anymore. We can just go there with it, with the video, okay? So I'm thinking that there's a couple ways, whenever I think about like content, I think about videos, like I think the standard is probably like the first thing that I think of anyways. I'm not sure about you guys, but I would think about going here and then filling this with an image and doing a little play button. Oh, which did we ever turn this thing into a component? Componentize that? We should have. Play button, boom, just like that, okay? Let's drag a play button out over here, make it a little bigger, fill this with like black, and then take the whole thing down. So I would do something like that. See how I'm just like kind of wireframing on the fly because I'm so used to doing that. That's the immediate jump that I would have in my mind. Okay, so but I'm thinking, should we do that or should we do? Well, let's just do it. I think it's gonna work. I really do think it's gonna work. I was gonna say we could try something a little bit more inventive, but why reinvent the wheel? Part of good user experience design is giving the user things that make sense and maybe things that they're also familiar with. So if I was to do something completely different and crazy, then it may not hit, right? Like it may not make sense to people. So let's just stick with this. So let's do home workout. What was home gym setup was the title of chapter 1. Oh, yeah. Home gym setup. let's actually take this style, this timing style, and let's move it there and write chapter 1. Okay, line it up. Everything left aligned to the left edge. We got 5 minutes until we do our reviews. See if we can get a video screen done in that time. I'm gonna jump up to my image. I'm gonna head down to plugins, and I'm gonna go to, where is my photo splash? Right here. I'm gonna search for a keyword like fitness. This is a great plugin called Photo Splash 2, free to use, really, really awesome. Let's do that one. So we're just gonna find a fitness image, apply that one photo, bam, right into our design. Okay, now we're leaving kind of all of this like really tailored content, and we're going in and we're aggregating and actually pulling in the content itself. So this is home gym setup, learn how to, set up a home gym, boom, 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 just like, whoa. I'm grabbing things I shouldn't be grabbing. Here we go. Set up a home gym, get ready to start the course, and get ripped in your living room. Now, here's what I'm going to do really quickly because I need some more content. I'm going to go to Content Generator. It's another plugin that I love a lot. I'm going to hit Paragraph, and it's going to fill with a bunch of lorem ipsum. Okay, so I'm just going to plug that lorem ipsum in. The little red little dot at the bottom is a new release or recent release of XD where I can double click it and it automatically fits to all the content that I have in there. So about 3 minutes left until we do the review. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, and I don't like the dimensions of this video. I feel like it should be a bit smaller. Let's move it up to the top. Boom, boom, boom. Let's do something fun here. Let's do, we're supposed to be connecting people community-wise, right? So why don't we bring this down and let's do some ellipses here. Let's bring this down. Friends taking this course. Okay, so let's get rid of this. I like to just put a color in there so you can see what I'm working on for now. Let's do 10 actually, let's just Command or Control R, repeat grid. Let's get some horizontal scrolling action going on here now. And then let's go to another plugin I really enjoy called UI Faces and apply some UI faces inside of my repeat grid. I don't know if this plugin works with a repeat grid, if it's gonna give me like separate UI faces for each element in the repeat grid. I'm not actually 100% sure. We shall see. It sure did. Booyah! XD plugins for the win. Okay, here's some other friends taking this course. Spacing that thing about 30 pixels away. Then let's space another section about 30 pixels away, like your completed. Oh, no, how about next chapter? We would do something else like this down below and make it a little bit smaller. So we are kind of holding on to that content, give it a little shadow, go back out to Photo Splash. We're still in fitness. Let's go here like that one. Apply that photo there. Boom, next chapter. Now we have some little sections that are going on here. So we have like 1 second. So let's prototype. Let's go play chapter 1. Boom. We're going to prototype tap. We don't want to overlay. We want to transition. Okay. We're going to do like a normal transition. I think this is pretty good. I think that you don't always have to do auto animate for everything. Like what if we just slid up? Okay. And we want that snap to be back. I think we were doing a little bit of a slower snap though. So let's do that. And let's go over to our assets really quickly. Did we ever save this little X as an asset? We may not have, right? Let's save it as an asset. This is close. Boom, like that. Now, the hard part is with images, this is something to consider when you are doing design work. Not all images are made the same. There's no guarantee the color is always going to be the same or the contrast is going to be the same. So you have to sometimes think of a solution. So for me, that solution is going to be dropping a little overlay there on top of it. You could do it like a gradient, so it's not like so dark the entire time. But let's go back to our plugins and let's make sure that our play button is on top. Let's bring the opacity of the play button up a little bit. I don't think it needs to be so hidden. I need contrast. Back to what one of our users was saying in the chat earlier, one of our folks chatting away with me. I think it was Holly, started with an H, your name in the chat. Hope was saying that we need to make sure we have good contrast and accessibility. So that play button was a good example of that. So let's go here. Let's press play. Let's start the course. Congrats, you started. Play chapter 1. Boom, we slide chapter 1 up and we are right into the content. With that being said, it's time to start some reviews. If we had some any sort of drum roll music to put in, now that would have been the perfect time. Now it's time to start the reviews. So we're gonna jump over to my screen. Let's jump into here on my desktop and let's look at our Behance and let's see what we can find in yesterday's challenge. If you are interested in doing the challenge, you can go to behance.net/challenge/XD. That's where you're going to find all the information about the daily creative challenge. Yesterday's challenge was focusing on plugins and it was to create the navigation bar for a desktop dashboard on the topic of your choice. As you design, try exploring plugins to speed up your design process. So there was some toilet paper stuff that I absolutely have to look at. This was done in Auto Animate. It's definitely a little prototyping action of some toilet paper, but I saw another one that was really cool. This was like a fun little drop-down menu with some different with the toilet paper being focused or featured. That's really, really great. Let's look at some of these links that we have. Ooh, that's a link for an icon set. We don't want to look at that. Ooh, this looks really good. Let's go for this dashboard concept. I'm just in the current challenges tab of the Adobe XD Discord with over 35,000 members in it. If you're not part of the Discord, there's links that have been posted in the chat. I'm sure Sam or somebody else is going to post another one of those Discords links there so you guys can have it. And he also just posted the XD challenge link. So Sam is on it. Our good friend helping us out and doing some amazing stuff today, helping to moderate the chat for us. Let's look at, that's not one. That's not one either. What do we have in this current challenges tab? Come on now, let's look at this stuff. Okay, remember the challenge was create a navigation bar for a desktop dashboard on the topic of your choice. Okay, so can I just read that again? Navigation bar for a desktop dashboard. Navigation bars, okay. These are just some different types of navigation bars, I suppose. This is more of like a website navigation. Let's talk about the design stuff of this. I think that the colors pop. I think there's decent contrast on the typography opposed to the background. So who's the person who is Osborne here, creating this nice pink Rolex watch thing. I like the imagery that's used. I'm not sure about this. It seems like there might be like a dark border around this button. I might want to see this button made a little bit more elegant. So the branding of Rolex is that of a little bit more like elegance. So I'd like to see maybe the button softened a little bit. Maybe the text come down a little bit. The proportions of a button are really, really important. So you got to make sure that you're doing those things right. Perfect gift for the perfect date. I'm not sure that this typographic lockup here works as much. I'd like to see this left aligned. Does that make sense? I'd like to see maybe this pushed over a little bit and then the button, the subheadline, and this headline kind of rolling down the left-hand side. I just recently gave some advice to somebody that's kind of similar to this. When you're doing heroes, like this is what we call a hero in the web design world, it's really common. If you want to break the mold, break the mold. But the more common pattern is to make sure that you are doing layouts that makes sense, and those layouts have columns and gutters and their own space. So it's a very common thing for these things to be left-hand aligned. I can see all this type really, really easily, and we don't usually have what looks like multiple headlines. So I'd be careful with that. Osborne, I would consider maybe like kind of bringing this into and standardizing it, I guess is the words I'm thinking of, standardizing this a little bit. I like the active state here. That looks really, really, really good. Let's roll up and see if we have any other work we can look. Some other work we can look at. Okay. I don't think this is from the other challenge, but this is from some previous challenges. Let's look at some UI design work and see what we can do. Oh, I like this one a lot. Let's check it out. So this is, I'm guessing, like a desktop interface. Looks pretty cool. I like the colors. It's really soft, really nice. The colors used sparingly, which I think maybe this might actually be a course page, which makes a lot of this is right in line with kind of what we were doing, building a course page. I like the use of color here. I like that the accent color is used sparingly. It draws your eye, doesn't it? Like there's not a lot of competition happening here. Like whenever that accent color is used, you know what it is and where to be looking. There's consistency. I would watch out with these border radiuses right here, and maybe be concerned about chilling these border radiuses out just a bit. These are like 25 or 30 pixel border radiuses. Maybe drop down to 6 or 8. Maybe make them a little bit more subtle, because the juxtaposition of such intense border radiuses with these crisp edges and angles over here, everything else seems to be really, really crisp. You got to kind of pick your style. Which style are you going for? So maybe think about that. You don't have to, but it's a thought. I'm a big fan of the vertical text movement, right? Which is we're starting to lay things out a little bit more digitally, like they were in print magazine layouts. Like think National Geographic, think of like surfing magazines, think of just some really beautiful layout with multi-columns and a lot more interesting layout stuff than what was happening in maybe like the early 2000s, 2010, 2011 for like web design and interface design. We've stepped into the place where we can do vertical text now. We can have a little bit more fun with typography, with layout. So I think it's very, very cool. I think it's a fun thing that they're doing. There's lots of little controls everywhere, and so I would just beware of that a little bit. Let's go up and see if we can find some other things to review. Here's a good one. I would prefer to look at it inside of Adobe XD, but that's okay. Let's zoom in on it and look at it like this, okay? So here's a nice website, and this is actually back to what I was saying with that first website that I was looking at. The contrast is great, but the layout is a lot more clean, right? We know that I should look to the left for the content and the information, and over on the right we have supporting graphics that kind of help bring the whole thing together as one. They don't have to overlap necessarily, although that can be cool, but having clearly defined areas and really working your layout, I think it's a really good idea. Now, the one thing I would say about this is, about this hero image area, is things look a little disjointed and disconnected. That's the one critique and feedback I would give, which is, oh, and they did the better version over here. So this is great. I love pointing out like before and afters. I love them so much. So check it out. Like everything looks disconnected, and whoever it was that submitted this knew it looked disconnected and made the improvement. Look at the difference from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. When we bring typography together and now things all of a sudden look connected, they look like they make sense, and they're all a part of something. This is what we call a lockup, a typographic lockup, right? So when we lock all of those things together, they look like one unit and make sense. I should read the headline, then the subheadline or copy, and then interact with whatever the call to action is. I like that a lot. The second thing I was gonna say, no joke, legitimate, was that the navigation is cramped. It's insanely cramped on this first version, but look, they fixed it on the second version. Now, I will say, I'm not the biggest fan of hiding everything in a hamburger menu. I don't think that's necessarily the solution, which gets us into something that's not necessarily design focused as much as it is content focused, okay? So sometimes the answer is not always a design answer or solution. Sometimes you have to go back further, and this would have been better if the navigation was still present and available, it just had less links. How can we fix this image on the left-hand side without just dropping everything into a hamburger menu? Well, first off, home. It's pretty common nowadays for home just to be represented inside of the actual like branding that's found there. 2, the branding could be smaller, which would make more room for follow-up links like tours, destinations, features. Then you have to be more specific, or you have to be a little bit more critical on what goes into a main navigation. This is an information architecture and content problem, okay? So tours, destinations, features, pricing, probably all belong in the main navigation. About and blog, Probably don't. They should probably go down in a footer. That's what footers are for. So figuring out what's primary, what's secondary is part of this web design process. And it's just, yeah, Raphael just said Gestalt principles, or the basic design principles of proximity was the problems here. And this is a content problem that you didn't necessarily need to try to solve with design. That's just my opinion. That's my thought on that. We got a couple more minutes of reviewing stuff. Let's keep cruising and see what else there is to review. Some interesting stuff. If you're not posting your stuff inside of Adobe XD, you absolutely should be, because it's super duper fun stuff. Let's go to past challenges. And let me know if you have any questions in the chat. I'd love to answer your questions as well. Here's a past challenge. I want to look at this because this looks really beautiful. Let's go down and see if we can find some more stuff to review here. We're just talking like basics of design. We're talking fun stuff. Like, how do we make our stuff better? We learn from our own work. We learn from other people's work, all that kind of stuff. So this is a really nice piece. This was done on Let's XD. No wonder it's beautiful, because Howard Pinsky made it. Doggone you, Howard. Stop sneaking your stuff in there and making me compliment you all the time, because you're so awesome. Okay, let's go here. Day 9 case study. Let's look at this one. I'm going to open that up in a tab. I'm going to open that guy up in a tab. Oh, Titanic. We have to look at that. It's going to be fun. We got a couple of things to look at. We got a couple more minutes to go. So this is a case study by Cindy Sang, and it was probably multiple challenges here, but here's the first piece of it. Probably voice triggers, doing some fun interaction stuff there. I would say that this is an interesting choice of the color, but the color seems a little bit overwhelming in my opinion. Hey, Cars is back in the chat. Julie's still in the chat. Got lots of people hanging out. We're doing some reviews right now before we jump back in and try to finish our project, which we don't have very much time to do. So, I would just be careful of the color that's used here. Having so much blue, not necessarily a bad thing. Like there's people who use color in really, really fun ways. But I would just be weary. Like, this blue's a little bit dull and muted. And then the thing I have the bigger problem with, besides the color, is actually this piece here. It's the fact that you have that just irks me actually, that these border radiuses don't match border radiuses. If I was you, I would have actually just, extended this whole thing out and made a card out of it. So brought this all the way to the edges, not to brag, but kind of like what we were doing over here. Brought it all the way out. There's a reason that it's a common iOS design pattern, because it works. It looks really good. And it clears up the space. And there's only so much what's called cognitive load that a user has that allows them to focus on so many things. When we offer little things like this, it's almost like we should be looking at them, and it distracts the user, right? So that's something to think about, but I like the work a lot. This is by Asma Batul. We've got a couple more minutes left of reviews. This might be the last one, the XD Daily Creative Challenge. Some sort of breakfast recipe experience for a meal planning app. Love the case study, typography, colors, just laying it out. Similar to like what we're doing a little bit, like an aggregation app, right? We're bringing in different recipes. The horizontal scroll is not something we did a whole lot of, but we absolutely could have done. We might go back and do a little bit of that with the friends section, maybe. That might be fun. You've inspired me, Asma. So I'm going to go back and work on that. The only thing I would say is watch out for drop shadows. I can even see in the case study, your drop shadows are heavy, but in the work itself, the drop shadows, let's go down on the screen. The drop shadows are pretty heavy. So watch out for that. Also just watch out for border radiuses, corners, and always, a lot of the things I'm going to say is opinion, but this one I don't think is at all. Watch out for boxes inside of boxes inside of boxes, right? So if I could zoom in even more here, you'd see it's kind of strange that those aren't all the way like out to the edge. So just keep that in mind, but really, really nice work. Titanic. Kind of movie websites are a beast of their own. They're separate. They break all the rules. You can do whatever you want with them. So if you want to have some fun, design a movie website, because you could put layout and typography everywhere. It's all about the images and motion. I would encourage you, if you've never done a website design or concept for a musician website or movie website, try it, because you don't have to be so linear and so cookie cutter. You can really just like have tons of fun. They're a little tough when you get to responsive, but lots of fun. Here's a little tracking smartwatch action. I don't do a lot of smartwatch design. I really should, but this is really fun. Look how simple. There's so little space to work on something like this. So little space, and they're making really, really good use of that space by keeping things simple, right? And not overloading it with controls. You got to depend a lot on voice triggers here. Got to depend on a lot on really simplifying like the functionality, but then all the design stuff has to be simple and nice to go with it. So that's pretty much it. I think that's all we have time for. Let's jump back into our project. Hey, good job, everyone. Those are great designs. I appreciate everybody who submits their work. And if you were wondering where I was looking at those things from, again, make sure you are signing up for the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. It's coming up right after this. Why don't we take a look at that really quick? Because we are just about done with Adobe Live. We're almost done with today. We only have a couple more minutes. And then coming up next is Howard Pinsky with that Daily Creative Challenge. He's going to be challenging you to do something really, really fun and really, really cool. So the challenge has unlocked. And so really, really cool. Just jump in there, grab that starting file. If you don't know how to do that, here's how you do that. You come back to challenge/XD over on Behance. You go to get started, and it's going to pull up a little Dropbox link. You just download XD right there. Grab that, open it up, free of charge. You got a little file to get started with. So really, really cool. Let's jump back into our design. Let's just zoom back and look at the progress that we've made. Allison, you made some changes from the feedback that I gave you yesterday. I'm going to save this link, and I am going to look at it later. And then you can find me in Discord, and I'll try to give you some feedback for that, okay? Because I'm really excited to take a look at it. I don't want to leave you hanging, Allison. So let's see. Sam says make sure you register for the challenge. Okay, off we go. We got a couple more minutes. We got about, what do we got, like 10 minutes? We got less than 10 minutes. Let's look at our original objectives for the project. It was to aggregate online content, games, shows, chat, etc., organized by category, see the details, save the favorites. We didn't do that at all. Oh, that's right. So we definitely want to have some way to save favorites. Where would we even look at favorites? I think we're going to have maybe a slide out screen. We might do an overlay here for our menu really quickly before we go that allows us to store some of our favorites. Oh, I have such a good idea. Let's do this. Do we have time to do this? We have time to do this before we go. Somebody get pumped and put some emoji hands because you're really excited because I'm excited for an idea I have. Okay? Let's build another little overlay here. Okay? So let's pull this one over. I'm going to call this menu overlay. Okay? We're going to get rid of that. Let's do a pull out like drawer navigation. They're not as common in iOS. They're more of an Android type deal, but I think it could be fun here. Like we'll hit the little menu, it'll pop out. They're definitely there sometimes. Okay, so we'll pop this out. It's going to overlay over everything. Let's take something like this, and then we'll put boom. Let's put settings in here. No, let's put profile. Okay. Let's take the size of this down a little bit and just do like a really nice, clean, modern kind of menu. Okay. So somebody's posting a cowboy happy face emoji. Man, that's cool. I like that. It's because I'm excited. Okay. Let's just do a few of these. And then at the very bottom, we're going to put favorites. Okay. So this is like profile, settings, what else do you put inside of a settings menu? I am having a total brain fart right now. Profile, settings, account. Maybe we'll just get rid of that one and just put favorites here. But ready for the idea? Here's where we're going to use our 2-up layout, okay? We're going to bring the 2-up back. Here we go. What happens if I just squish these? Nothing happens. That's not going to work. Let's see if we can do the 2-up. Okay, courses, games. Let's get rid of these. And get rid of that one. Grab each of these individually. Oh, will you please shrink down for me? Why won't you? Why won't you? There it goes. Look at that. See that? Let's do something like that. Take this same one. Jobs. Something like that. Maybe the 2-up's not going to work, dude. Okay. I was so excited. I was sure it was going to work. That's okay. I'm going to go like this. Stretch it out. Favorite. Make those nice and big. And here's where we didn't get to do it in our... We did get to do it a little bit in our original. So we're just going to... We're going to do our offset now because we like our 3-dimensional offset stuff. I think that's fun. How about 5 favorite games? 13 favorite workouts, something like that. You see where we're going with this, right? You see what I'm doing? Okay, pretty cool. Where is my rectangle? 28. Yeah, it's close enough. It is not perfect spacing at all, but see what I'm... Oh, here's a good lesson. I was about to make the proximity mistake of spacing these out too far versus bringing it up. See how that's how it was originally? Let's bring it closer up next to the favorites. I think that'll be better. And then let's just duplicate this for time's sake. Something like that, okay? Now, these don't necessarily have to be like the catered or curated like stuff. We could have maybe put in the information here for like home gym setup or for like the course title and everything like that. But this will work for us. So now we have an overlay. Let's hit our menu in prototype here. Let's break that prototype one and let's prototype up here. We're gonna say tap. We wanna do an overlay. What do we wanna do? We want to slide left our overlay, okay? Our overlay is gonna sit over the entire thing. It's gonna snap in. Let's see if that works. So we're gonna go here, boom, let's hit the menu. Ooh, I meant to do slide to the right. Is that what I meant to do? I didn't. That's what I meant to do. Sorry. Let's figure it out again. Slide left. Actually, why don't we, yep. Slide right. Okay. Main overlay tap. Everything's good. Okay, let's try it again. Yeah, it almost kind of works, but what you don't like is I don't like seeing that whole thing, like the black part of it, like swooping over. Not a big fan of that. So why don't we do, instead of sliding, why don't we just dissolve for now and see how that looks? Boom, boom. So we got a little menu happening there. We can click our favorites and click right off of it. We only got a couple more minutes, like 2 minutes before we have to go, but we built a little bit of a curating app. We have our onboarding. We got to our home screen. We're able to bump this up and look at the prototype really quick. Here we go, something like this, where we can look at the menu, we can hit courses, games, and jobs. We can go back to courses, scroll it up, tap on one we like, then scroll it up, scroll it down, start the course. Oh yeah, start the course like that. Play chapter 1 of the course. So that's the prototype that we built over the last 2 days, few hours each day. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Hope you guys enjoyed being here with us at Adobe Live. I'm gonna jump back out to my main camera. That's pretty much it for the stream. Remember, coming up next, let's hit our schedule really quickly before we go. Coming up next, we got Howard Pinsky with the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. After that, there's gonna be a sketch party with Kathleen Martin. I might tune back in for that for sure, because that sounds like a lot of fun. Paul Tranning was before with the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. The Daily Creative Challenges are gonna be ongoing for the next few weeks. Adobe Live is only for 2 days at a time. And so that's why our time has been cut short, because these streams are a little bit different than the challenges. But I will be back soon. Very, very excited about that. I want to make sure that everybody is staying safe, washing their hands, having fun. Even though you're in isolation, try to have a little bit of joy, try to have a little bit of fun. So thank you for everybody for engaging in the chat. Thanks for everyone for being so supportive and encouraging. Hope you guys just keep making amazing things, keep designing amazing things. I'll just catch you guys next time. We're back. Stay tuned for more stuff. Stick around. get some water, use the bathroom, all that fun stuff. And we will be back, and I'll see you next time.